Alright, hello everyone, Schwartzfiat here. Now, today I want to visit one of my favorite games from my childhood. Not the absolute favorite, but definitely one of my favorite ones. And that is Lords of Magic. Now, I've played this game a lot since it became available on Steam, and I left it perhaps one of my most favorable reviews that I've ever left a game. Certainly one of my more detailed, but now that I've got NVIDIA GeForce Shadowplay working, I feel that I can actually get some gameplay footage of this game and show you all this game in general. Now, before we load it up here, I want to explain a little bit about the game before I show you the opening cutscene and stuff like that. Screw it, I'll just show you the opening cutscene and then we'll go from there.
It is said that history becomes legend as its events recede into the mists of time, and that memories grow dimmer in the slumber of peace. Thus, the noble peoples of Yurak languished in 1,000 years of peaceful splendor, growing forgetful of the dark time their land once knew, heedless of the ancient enemy who yet labored in silence. And so Golgoth, the terrible god of death, beheld that the world was ripe for an era of terror and blood. He summoned Balkoth, the most evil of his sorcerers, and bestowed upon him a mighty artifact of power, that the necromancer might better serve his master in heralding the coming days of darkness. The wings of Balkoth's wretched steed beat the air like thunder. The land shook beneath the rumor of his mustering host. The air was filled with cries of his victims. Who can say what new perils may yet befall as they struggle to defeat the ancient evil, to reunite the land, and to become Lords of Magic. Welcome to Lords of Magic.
Alright, so there's the opening cinematic. Now, I believe I've altered NVIDIA settings correctly so that the game shouldn't be too loud and you should be able to hear my voice clearly over it. Now, as you can see from the main menu here, there is no options menu, which is kind of weird when you consider that pretty much every game in existence now has an options menu, but this is an older game from the 90s. So, basically, what kind of game is it? I would describe it as a turn-based 4X strategy game mixed in with a fantasy role-playing game. And that'll all make more sense once we dive into it. Now, when you get the game, you can go to the main content, Lords of Magic, or you can do the Legends of Yurak. And this Legends of Yurak basically alters the rules. Yeah, it alters the rules so that you can embark on legendary adventures, and all of these adventures are essentially prequels to the events of the main game, so to speak. Now, I'll show you real quick what I mean here.
From the
shadowy ages of Urak's ancient past arose many dark and wondrous tales. Tales of heroes, of gods and noble kings, of brave warriors, powerful sorcerers, and cunning thieves. Now draw back the curtain of time, pass through the mists that cloud these lost eons, and step into the legends of Urak.
Please select your leader to embark on your journey.
Okay, so there we go. Like I say, these quests, they alter the rules a little bit. Alright, so I'm not going to get into it too much because this isn't the mode that I'm going to be playing. But basically you choose a leader and you embark on a legendary adventure. And I'm going to tell you right now, missions are no pushovers. Like the dwarfs mission here, it talks about how you have to fight this legendary creature. And come to find out, when I played it, that legendary creature that it sounds like you gotta fight, that's your first battle, and you're low level, so good luck with that. It took me quite a long time to figure it out, but I eventually figured out how to do it, and now I'm kind of OP with thieves as a result. This one over here with Merlin, that's very similar if you've ever played Age of Empires, the original Age of Empires, with that one mission where all you have is a monk. Think the kind of same thing here, where you just start out with a weak wizard, and wizards need an army to protect them, but you're by yourself, so good luck with that. But I'm not going to dwell too much on this, as I want to focus on the main meat of the game. The only thing I will say here, and some people will probably yell at me for this being a spoiler, but seriously, it's a game from the 90s. If you were going to play it, well, I don't know, maybe that excuse won't work. If you were going to play it, you would have played it by now because, well, many people may not be aware of it or be aware that it was on Steam. Either way, there is something I want to tell you. It's a secret. I wouldn't want to call it so much a spoiler, but when you go here to select your legendary adventure, double click on the middle here. Now, screw it, I'll just go ahead and do it.
From long ago, from the age of myth and legend, comes the adventure of the mighty hero Siegfried and the beautiful Valkyrie Brünnhilde, of the wicked dragon Fafnir and the golden treasure of the Nibelung dwarves.
Yeah, anyway, so I'm not going to get into that adventure, but basically what I'm saying is that's the hidden secret legendary adventure, and that one's a lot of fun. And yeah, but you can only get it by double clicking in the middle of the area, in the middle of the star, which that's a secret that most people didn't find out throughout the entire time of playing, and I imagine that that's news to some people who even did play this back when they were young like I did. But I suppose it's not really a spoiler since I'm not telling you how that adventure ends up and stuff like that. But it is a lot of fun. I freaking love that legendary story. Awesome. But anyways, we'll go back to the main menu here. Again, main thing, just double click on there to do that legendary adventure. Alright. Now there is a map editor, but it doesn't work very well. At least I haven't got it to work in the Steam version, but it doesn't matter because this is a game that you could play the same map over and over and over again and still have fun. In fact, it was only in my last couple games or so that I actually tried a map other than the original map. And that's just because the original map is so well done and so good. Not only that, but there's a lot of variety on the map. And when it comes to this game, I'm going to say the same thing that I said about Anno 2205 when people were complaining about there being no random map generator. You know, replayability doesn't come from your ability to change the field you play on, but your ability to manipulate what happens on the field. And, you know, in Anno 2205, there is no random map generator, but there's so much different things you can do, different ways to build your city on the same maps, and geothermal engineering to change the advantages of the map, that it doesn't really matter. And the same thing is true here. You know, there's so many different things you can do on the same map that it adds a lot of replayability. I mean, you can look at my Steam account to see that I've already played this game at the time making this video 55 hours, and that's just the time on Steam. Lord only knows, literally, how much I played as a kid. I mean, I played this game pretty much ad nauseum. So yeah. But think about it sort of like a football game in real life or any sports game. You know, they don't change up the sports arena every time, but it's still exciting to a lot of people because what can happen is different depending on what teams and all that you do. So basically what I'm saying is there are other maps and you can access them by clicking customs. So you have Hard and Fair 2, Urak Part 2, Experts only, Expert Only 2, Extreme H2O, and Extreme Land. But we'll dive in. Not going to do those now. But yeah, so let's just go into the main one. Now, like I say, this game is a mix from a turn-based strategy game with real-time combat and an RPG. So you choose your leader class. Now, it's important to note that the class you choose is just the class of your leader, and you can hire any number of characters from any other class that you want. So you have your warriors, they're great in melee combat, tough, powerful. Your mages, cast spells, weak in melee combat. Then your thieves, they can stealth and have a ranged attack, and they can steal and spy. So, and one thing that's really nice is the aesthetic for each one of these. Or before I get into the aesthetic, this is where the replayability comes from. You have 3 different main classes to choose from for your leader type, and then once you click one, you get to choose your faith from the 8 faiths playable. Yeah, so you have your water worshippers, chaos worshippers, earth worshippers, life worshippers, fire worshippers, order worshippers, air worshippers, and death worshippers. Now, it is important to note that in order to be able to play as Death, you have to actually beat him. And that's because that creature you saw in the opening video, Belkoth, regardless of who you choose as the Death faction, he's going to be the leader you control. However, that doesn't mean, though, that you shouldn't think about what leader type you want to choose when you're going to play as Death, because basically, once you liberate your Great Temple, and all this will make more sense in a little bit, once you liberate your Great Temple as Death, you will get 2 of the hero classes to join you that you didn't choose when you go to choose your main character. Now, that may not make much sense, but basically, if you play as Death, regardless, you're going to get Belkoth. However, if you chose Warrior at the start, like right now, when you liberate the Great Temple, you're going to get a Thief and a Mage. Whereas if you chose the Mage from the start, again, you're still going to play as Belkoth, but you're going to get a Warrior and a Thief when you liberate the Temple. Hopefully that makes sense. But liberating the Temple will make more sense once I get into it. But basically, you can choose your faith here, and every one of these heroes plays completely differently. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and that's where the replayability comes from, because you've got 8 different faiths, and each one has 3 different leader types to choose from. So that's a good number of combinations on a single map. Now, let's see, what do I want to play as? Well, I know what I want to play as. My favorite in the game. Actually, yeah, screw it, I'm going with my favorite. Just for old time's sake. The Water Mages. Now, the interesting thing about the Water Mages, there's a funny story about it. Now, those who know me best know that even though some guys would call me a sellout or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But when it comes to the whole feminist issues, I tend to be on the side of feminism. And funny story, this is the game that taught me to respect women. Because, let's go back. When I first played this, my very first game, or the very first time I won, rather, was, well, I started out playing as a powerful Knight of Order, you know, and I named it after myself in real life, you know, thinking myself to be high and mighty. I was a young boy at the time, so give me a break. You know, when I looked at the factions, you know, I initially looked at the Water faction. I'm like, a faction of women, screw that. Let's go men and knights in shining armor. And I eventually won, and I beat Belkoth, and then I went to play as Belkoth. And then I encountered the forces of water led by the Water Mage. And I laughed, and I'm like, haha, wow. An army of women goes to fight against Belkoth, the Lord of Death. Time to die, ladies. I started the battle. As soon as the battle started, I'm like, what the? Well, let's not repeat what I said. I'm like, this is not happening, this is not happening, this is not happening. And then I got that lovely screen, and thus was the evil Lord Belkoth at last vanquished at the hands of a mighty hero. I was like, you have got to be kidding. So yeah, I got, as the Dark Lord of Death, the most powerful unit, or what seems to be the most powerful unit in the game, got my butt handed to me on a silver platter by these chicks. And ever since then, I'm like, wow, I clearly underestimated women. And ever since then, I have only grown in respect for them. And if you ever seen like my Minecraft playthrough and my obsession with water in that game, or in other games I like to obsess with water worlds, ocean worlds, that kind of thing, this is why. Because it is the Amazons of Lords of Magic that taught me to initially respect women. And as such, for the sake of that, I will be doing that here. Okay. Alright, now you have your difficulties here, easy, medium, and hard. Now, it's been so long since I played easy at medium, I have no idea the real differences. I mean, it starts you out with a higher level and stuff like that, but I've been playing this game on hard for as long as I can remember, and I've even been modifying it with custom to make it even harder, and that's because this is one of those games that is the very definition of hard but fair. You know, every time I've been beaten, every time something's killed me, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I knew a way to counter it. And it's basically, I cannot remember a single time where I've been beaten by an enemy and I'm like, okay, that's bullcrap, that's not fair, or there's no counter to that, that's just not fair. Except maybe water mages, but there's even a counter to water mages, even though it may not seem like it. Because, no joke, it takes a water mage about 10 seconds to kill 3 or 4 dragons. I'm not kidding. So at first glance they may seem overpowered, but all joking aside, water mages, as powerful as they are, they do have a weakness. And I like to make the joke that, oh no, 4 enemies, a water mage's only weakness. But that's kind of true, because the water mage is, to put it bluntly, her magic and all of that centers around taking out single targets. And to put it bluntly, when you go up against a higher level water mage, if she knows what she's doing, there is literally no unit in the game that can beat her one-on-one. It's just not happening. And as a matter of fact, when I actually play as the water mage, the last time I did, and I was hunting down Belkoth, it took me I spent about half the game getting my army up and attacking his lands, and then the other half of the game chasing that coward all the way across the world. Because he ran from me with his tail between his legs, or flew away rather, and it was hilarious, but I don't blame him because, again, I got my butt handed to me on a silver platter by water mages, and if you do play this game, that's one thing to keep in mind. There is no unit in the game, to my knowledge, that a water mage cannot beat one-on-one. And 2 or 3 units, she can easily take them out. However, like I say, I joke, 4 enemies, a water mage's only weakness, but there's a lot of truth to that, because once she's out of her mana, that's it. And even though there are mana potions in this game, the game limits you to only 1 per battle, so it takes a lot of mana to bring a target down. Granted, she has enough mana pool at higher levels, combined with potions, so she can literally take down any enemy, even Belkoth, and they can't do crap about it. That's the beauty of it. Because essentially she has a spell known as Freeze that acts as like a 1-minute long CC. You literally cannot do anything. And normally that's supposed to be balanced out by the fact that you also can't be hurt, except, well, the water mages can manipulate ice, so they can hurt a target while froze and no one else can. So essentially, regardless of who you are, she'll freeze you and then constantly shred you apart with ice, and then you'll blow up. Or in a shatter of glass, or not glass, but a shatter of ice. There's nothing you can do about it unless you can kill her first, but the simple fact of the matter is, there is no cast time on the freeze spell, so you're pretty much screwed if you come up against a water mage, and my advice to anyone fighting them is never go up against a water mage with a unit you aren't prepared to lose. And as a result, a common strategy I use when fighting against water mages is to just send in a bunch of infantry or particularly cavalry and stuff like that, because again, you throw against 4 or 5 enemies against her and she's screwed. There's not much she can do. Whereas, so if you just have your regular units attack, the cheap units that can easily be replaced, then you'll be able to take her out no problem, because again, she's incredibly powerful, but only designed to take out about 2 or 3 targets in a single battle, and then she's done for the battle. Now, but anyways, I love her, but I guess I should talk about some of the other faiths real quick, though. Now, not only are the leaders and their stuff different in their appearance and voice and all that good stuff, but their spells are vastly, vastly different. And so, for example, you have the Chaos Mages, which I hate, and I don't mean I hate fighting them as enemies, I hate playing as them, because their spells just don't make any sense. And if, however, you're a fan of loot boxes and random chance, then by all means, you'll love the Chaos spells, because basically, when you have a Chaos Chan casting spells, it's pretty much like a roll of the dice, because you could get something really powerful that would devastate your enemies, or something that would screw you up. They have no sense of order, but I guess that's to be made. That makes sense. Their magic is just all over the place. It's weird. I can't quite figure it out. They do have a couple useful spells, but for the most part, their magic is just chaotic, but they worship chaos, so that makes sense. So like I say, there are some spells where literally you're basically rolling the dice as to whether they'll hurt you or hurt the enemy, and I just don't like that. But hey, if you want to be surprised every time, then go with the Chaos Mages. You have the Earth Mages. Now, these little guys, they'll summon up things like rocks with stones and stuff like that, and they do a very annoying spell. I think it's called Sands of Sleep. It's a massive AoE sandstorm that basically immobilizes a large group of enemies. So, while the Water Mage is essentially a mage designed to take out and CC a single target, the Earth Mages are more designed around group CCs. And not only that, but they have a lot of defensive spells to, well, keep your troops alive, give them stone skin, the usual stuff you'd expect from Earth. Then, of course, Life Mages, well, if I have to explain what they're all about, then I can't help you. Basically, they're all about healing magic and putting buffs on their allies. So they have the bless abilities, they can increase your attack, and they can heal you, and they can resurrect. Their offensive spells leave a lot to be desired, but having one of these babies on your side as a healer is freaking awesome. Then, of course, fire magic, and this is all about just doing absolutely devastating damage to your enemies. They can do infernos, they can do fireballs, they can do fireballs that go to an area and keep spinning around and don't stop, which is really great for holding control choke points. And I pity anybody trying to siege a fire stronghold, because once you got to break in through the door and went through the gate, and if you got a fire mage there, well, they'll just put a fireball to constantly keep spinning around the gate, so you're going to have to either be waiting there for a very, very long time, and while you do that, they can still be casting out a bunch more fire spells at you. They have fire darts that sent out and attack multiple targets. Basically what you would expect. She's all about dealing lots and lots of fire damage to enemies. Then, of course, you have Order Magic, and this is about firing. This is your pretty stereotypical wizard magic stuff. Lightning, well, not so much lightning, but magic bolts, some defensive spells. I haven't really played around with Order Mages too much, to be honest with you, though. Then, of course, you have Air Mages. Now, these are actually a lot of fun. Air is perhaps my second favorite faction. Their spells are all about lightning and control of the wind, which means they can make their own units go really, really fast, or they can make the enemy units slow way, way down, cause chain lightning storms, and all that good stuff. And Death Magic, well, yeah. death magic is just sick and awesome in all the right ways. And I imagine if this game ever got an HD reboot, it would probably be rated AO because of some of the spells that death can conjure up, which in a way is kind of disappointing because with the dated graphics, I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, the graphics I still think hold up really well, but it is still just a lot of pixels, really, and it's nothing graphic or anything. But when you read the descriptions of some of these spells and you look at what they actually do, I imagine with modern graphics, this would just be absolutely horrific. So, for example, one of their spells, I think it's called Lost Souls, and what it does is it summons a copy of an enemy unit and creates a soul that will seek them out that you cannot get away from, and once it gets to them, it'll tear into their body and then kill them, at which point the necromancer can then either bring their bones up from their body as a skeleton or raise them as a lost soul to serve him in eternal torment and darkness and evil. And just the idea of this dark shadow hunting you down and ripping into your flesh and killing you from the inside, and then your dark soul rising up and attacking those people that served you. It's absolutely horrific. Not only that, but he can curse you that calls clouds of skulls that come and just constantly keep biting you, and they reproduce and they spread to your entire army and just constantly swarm you and biting you, tearing your flesh off. Yeah, but like I say, the spells of death are horrific. Absolutely horrific, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of a lot of these. And to make matters worse, just the sound of necromancers speaking is enough to not only inspire terror, but can kill people. And you have to have strong constitutions. I mean, because there's one spell that's called Belkoth's Words. He just speaks those words, and the weak-minded or the weak in general are they're just dead. And so when you have someone that can just kill you by talking or summoning a copy of your soul to rip into your flesh and then take your soul and then have it serve him, it's messed up in so many ways. But that's the death faction in general. Of course, the interesting thing about it is, each one of these faiths, they all believe that they're right in their own way. And it's kind of interesting, particularly when you take a look at the death legend of Urak. They basically try to explain it from their perspective. They view the mortal realm and stuff like that as just a prison for the corporeal body, and your real life begins after death. So they think it's a good thing, bringing people into the realm of the dead and stuff like that. But it's just kind of sick, too, in its own way. But yeah, like I was saying, though, with modern graphics, I imagine these spells would look absolutely horrible. But even though you don't see the horror and bloody details, shadowy details, or whatever you want to call it, in this game, I still think the graphics have held up incredibly well. I mean, this just in general really looks nice. So, but anyways, we're going to go with water. Alright, actually before I start the game, I want to go back and explain the differences with the other classes and how each race functions differently. So for example, now the thieves are pretty much the range and stealth class of the game, and for the most part there really is no real differences between them. A couple subtle minor differences in some. So for example, the Amazon thieves are the hottest and most beautiful, and their ice bolts are just deadly. Very, very painful, and they're just freaking awesome because the Amazon chicks are awesome. Now the Chaos, pretty standard. She just throws spike disc and stuff like that. She's not as hot, so it's not... Now Dwarf thieves are a little bit tougher, but that really doesn't come into play too much because if you're a thief that let the enemy close into melee range, well, you're pretty much done for anyways, or you screwed up. The Life thieves, I believe, have the longest range. Let's see, let me just double check. Yeah, they start out with a range attack of 10. They're 9. Oh, okay, somehow she has the longer range. Okay, so never mind. Well, I thought Lives would have the longer range. Anyway, But yeah, she just sounds awesome though, and her portrait is pretty beautiful too, so if you're looking for beauty, there you go. The dwarf thieves are slow, ugly, and really, really annoying, and they fire crossbow, so a very low refire rate. The thieves of order, they also fire crossbow, but they have 2 more range than the dwarves, so there's that. Now, then of course you have the king of the thieves, the best thief in the game, the fairy. And at first glance her stats may look like crap. She has the shortest range and all that, but she has wings. She can fly, obviously, or he actually, it's a dude, I believe. He can fly, and that is an absolutely huge, huge advantage in this game, because this means you can fly over obstacles, and if you happen to get on top of buildings and stuff like that, and you only have melee enemies, there's literally nothing they can do. They just have to stand there until you kill them all, because you have unlimited ammo in this game. And as a result, fairy thieves can level up really quickly, and my record, they can level up really fast because they can take on a lot of stuff and not have to worry about it. I have had fairy thieves kill some legendary creatures just because they were melee and there was nothing they could do to get up to me, so they just stayed there while I shot them to death. Which means they can get experience really, really quick if you know what you're doing, and get to max level, train up a bunch of other people to also max level, and then just go in and fly in with huge fairy armies. In fact, one of the things that I enjoy doing is basically killing Belkoth, the Dark Lord of Death, with an army of fairies. And my record is killing Belkoth with a single fairy, in 50 turns on the hardest difficulty. Now, it is important to note that that was back when I was younger, before this update was released, and the update made the AI a little bit smarter, so I'm not going to try to brag and say that I've been able to redo that since I got the game on Steam. I have still beaten him with only fairies, but it took a lot of fairies. I would say I lost about 12 to 15 fairies in the battle. But still, just defeating this dark and evil Lord of Death with an army of fairies by turn 50 or so is just absolutely awesome. But the air thieves are just awesome, and the fact that they can fly is an absolutely huge, huge advantage, because you're essentially immune to melee-based ground units, so sucks to be them. Of course, you are very, very weak yourself, so if you happen to come across a ranged unit that outranges you, good luck with that, you're doomed. Or if you happen to encounter other flying units or spells or mages, then you're screwed as well. So you really got to pick and choose your battles very carefully, but if you're smart with the air thief, you can just be absolutely devastating and have the fun of wrecking everyone with a fairy, which I think is just epic. Now, when it comes to the warriors, again, for the most part, there's a lot of similarities. They're not as different as the mages and their magic, but there are some differences. So, for example, you have the Chaos Warriors here. They absolutely suck. Then you have the Fire Warriors. They also absolutely suck, because both Chaos and Fire are all about high damage and no defense, which I just can't stand, and I'll be honest with you, I have never completed a game, at least on hard, as either a Fire or a Chaos Worshipper. It's just, they have no armor, they charge into battle with big weapons. Granted, they do massive damage, but that damage is completely irrelevant if you can't even live to get to your target. Now, the Earth Warrior, on the other hand, is a lot tougher, has a lot more HP, but he is very, very slow, but he can be a pain to take down because he has incredible armor, so he's kind of awesome. The Live Thieves are not very well armored, and their attack isn't that great. Their only real advantage at first glance is speed. Now, I say at first glance because there's some powerful artifacts that only Life Warriors can equip. One of my favorites is one Well, actually, there's two of my favorites that you can pair together, and at least I think it's two of them that you can pair together, and it's just not a fair combination. Essentially, he can have regeneration due to one of the artifacts, and there's another artifact that teleports him to a random part of the battlefield when he's about to die. So he's about to die, he teleports to another area of the battlefield, regenerates health, and then goes right back into battle. It is a lot of fun to play around with, but yeah. So at first glance, it may seem like speed is his only advantage, but when you pair him with those artifacts, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. I had a heyday playing a game with those two artifact setups. Then of course you have the Knights of Order. You know, they're your standard knights, heavily clad in armor, decent damage, really good defense, and decent speed. Then you have the Air Warriors. They, like the Fire and Chaos Warriors, focus heavily on damage and less on defense, but they don't suck as much because they can move really, really fast. I mean, these Storm Giants may not seem like they're that fast, but trust me, on the battlefield, they are very, very fast. And then, of course, Death Warriors, they ride like a lizard or an iguana or something like that. Again, pretty standard, though, nothing really special about them. But let's go back to the mages. Alright. Now, like I say, you can choose easy, medium, or hard, but my favorite is custom. Now, in custom, you get to play around with a lot of different stuff. However, I would seriously recommend that you not do this on your very first game because you likely have no idea what any of this stuff all means. But you have a point system here. It's called barter points. First of all, let's enter the name. Now, these points can be used to spend on a bunch of things, a bunch of advantages. You can start out with a stronghold already built. You can start out with control of your great temple. Or you can go through all the units and you can start out with any unit in the game that you want. Now, each of these units take points, but not just points for them, but you can upgrade and improve their experience that they start out with. This all take points. You can spend points to increase your initial resources, or you can spend points to start yourself out with artifacts. Though there are some artifacts that are designed to literally be impossible to get in this mode. I imagine they gave them a bunch of points just because it would have been easier to give them a high point cost than to make it so that they couldn't be chosen here. So, for example, this artifact, yeah, you aren't going to be able to start with it. But there are some other basic artifacts that you can start with, and some of these can be pretty epic. However, if you play on the easier difficulties, I believe that'll increase the amount of points that you have. Let's just go back, like 1389. Okay, yeah. So if you choose easy and then custom, you can get a lot more points to play with. But I like to play on hard and have as few points as possible. You know, again, I'm a fan of starting out with very little to nothing. Now, in addition to starting out with artifacts, units, you can also choose what spells you start out with. And this is kind of important because without spells, your mage is worthless. So, if we're going to play as a water mage, we do need to at least start out with the basic water spells. So, you click and drag it to whatever you need. Now already we don't have that many points to begin with. So, you know, I'm half tempted just to start out with the Great Temple already liberated. But that takes a lot of points to be able to start out with that. Yeah, like I say, there's a lot of options here.
await your command.
We're going to mix it up here a little bit. One game I played something, or I started out with I played as Order. Started out with an Order Warrior and then a Water Mage, and those were the only two units I started with, and I basically role-played like a husband and wife that were trying to rise up together and save the world. It ended up working, but it took quite a while. So, let's just see. I think we're going to do a mix of starting out with both. We're going to play as Water, but start out with a mix of both Life and Water. Well, we don't need to start out with any more spells. Now we do need to start out with some units here.
What shall we do?
Not enough points to start out with Life archers. No, let's just forget that and
Archers ready.
okay. We'll have her just start out at level 2. How much to take him to level 2? Well, nah, I'm not going to have enough points to take him up to level 2. Boo. Like I say, the possibilities for your starting condition are pretty significant. I just wonder, let's see, artifacts. Wonder if I could start him out with that artifact that regenerates. Trying to remember where it is. Not that one. I think it's a staff somewhere. Come on. Where were you? Okay, I know that artifact was here somewhere. Okay, here's the armor. If a life welder's hit points fall below 5, armor will teleport the wearer to a random location on the battle map. That's 2,000 points, though. Ugh. Well, no way I'm affording that. Well, that's the thing. Starting on hard doesn't give you enough points to really play around with stuff. Wasn't there like a light chainmail, though? Want to at least give the guy more armor, but oh well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Alright, so don't have many points left. Now, one thing I probably should do is these units all have upkeep, so given that it may be a while before we can take control of buildings to produce these buildings, it might not hurt to start out with some resources so that we can at least have a couple turns before they try to abandon us. Okay. Okay, we got a few points left, so I guess just put it into his experience. Okay. Yeah. But like I say, there's a lot of options you can play around here, starting out with different artifacts, different unit combinations, but again, you might want to play the game a couple times to figure out what this all means. Alright. And we're off. You are of the Amazons who worship water. The people of your region need a hero to cleanse their lands of invaders and unite them as one nation. By contrast, Belkoth, Death's region, and the regions of Fire, Chaos, and Life are well established. Each has a powerful lord with armies in the field and guarding the capital, and a legendary creature protecting the great temple. The remaining lords each struggle with only a small army and a small garrison in the capital. They strive to liberate their great temples from the dark shadow of evil, which has infested them in the wake of Belkoth's rise to power. Conquer these regions or liberate the great temples of friendly lords to win their fealty. Okay, so first off, what do we got here? Well, first thing I want to say is this is a game where if your leader dies, it's GG for you. Game over. However, the good news is it auto-saves before every battle you fight, so if you do happen to lose your leader, you have the option to load an autosave. But we're just going to do a new save game here. Okay, you do have an option to manually save, of course, like that, but again, it does autosave before every battle, so yeah. But anyways, you start out with your chosen starting party. Now, you have some buildings here. You have your main city, and then outside you have your mage tower, your barracks, and your thieves guild. Now, it's important to note that you can't garrison in the city or train any troops until you liberate the Great Temple, because your great Belkoth has embarked across the land, and his forces have corrupted and taken over your Great Temple, and until you can free it of the evil, the people of your lands won't want to follow you. The problem is you don't start out with enough power to free your Great Temple, so you've basically got to work your way up, earn some levels and stuff like that. The downside is, since your temple isn't liberated, people are going to find it a hard time. They're not going to join you. So this means you can't put them to work for you in mines and stuff like that. So you got to be very careful in planning your strategy and work your way up. So we need to look for buildings close to the capital, because each building you go to has a level designated to it with the rough enemy strength of the enemies. Now that's a level 2. Let's just see if we can get a level 1 fight to start off with. Okay, level 1. The inhabitants of the small home fled when a band of vile miscreants came knocking on the door. Okay, so now we're in combat. Let's just see what we got. Alright, zombies. Excellent. Now, before we deploy our troops, let's just see if they charge us. Okay, they are charging us, so we can pause with the spacebar. Now, it's important to note in this game, sometimes if your army is more powerful than theirs, they will not immediately start charging at you. And this allows you time to take up better positions and stuff like that, because this dark green terrain here is impassable to land units. So if you were flying, you could have a flying unit on top of that, raining down arrows upon these. So this would be a situation right here, since these are melee units. the air mage could just, not the air mage, the air thief could just sit on top of this grassy area and just fire arrows on them until they die, and there's nothing they could do about it. But they're charging us, so we're going to have to hold our position. Now I've got elven archers that have great range, and these lizard ladies here are up in the front lines, and we're going to have our mage start casting spells. And she is out of mana. Okay, so this is a real-time game with pausing, which, in order to be successful, you want to make good use of that. Also, hills are a thing, so you need to keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, this ended very badly. Well, that's G to the G. Goodbye, cruel world. So, even though that was listed as level 1, zombies are too much for my weak little pathetic army. Well, that sucks. Oops. Okay, I don't want to see that. Okay, so we'll be avoiding that one. Alright. Yeah, but you can see where the challenge of the game comes in. But I've done all of my thing. Yeah. I mean, the first part of the game is really challenging and trying to get your troops leveled up and stuff like that, but that's to be expected. But again, it feels fair. I mean, those were zombies, tough and slow units. They were all level 3 units, and my infantry and archers were only level 1, so they had a hard time getting through their armor. So let's see if we can get, hopefully, another fight. Okay, this is a mix of skeletons and zombies.
I await your command. On my way. Archers, red, taking aim.
Once we shall obey.
I await your command.
My spells are ready.
Alright.
Arrows fly.
Oh, skeletons are level 3 too.
Once no one can
I await your command.
I think this is going to be a loss too.
Archers,
Okay, archers change targets.
arrows fly.
once shall we
You,
no one
focus
can
that.
stop us.
I await you on my way.
Well, oh, another loss. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to... Oh wait, I don't have any crystals to buy a mana potion. Well, screw this. Maybe this was a bad starting option. The worst part is your units do not level up passively, so you've got to actually have them winning battles. Oh, hell no, level 3, not happening. Well, I may have just very well screwed myself with this setup. Okay, let's hope you... Okay, this fight looks winnable.
I await your command. On my
Keyword, looks.
Archers, ready, taking aim.
My spell with much haste. What shall we do?
Archers, ready.
Once we shall.
I await you on my way.
Okay, so they are holding position. That's a good sign. Now, let's just means we can deploy tactically. So we'll deploy our melee units down here behind a hill, and the hope is that they'll try to shoot over the hill once they get into range, at which point they'll hit the hill, but my archers, being up on a hill, should have the advantage. Now, these orcs are going to be no threat to me once they get into range. They're pretty weak, so we're going to have the mage focus on the archers. And she's only going to be able to kill one, if that. Not even that. Okay. Well, starting out, they're powerful, but trust me, later on,
I await your command.
the mages get very powerful. Alright. Now,
Arrows fly.
alright, so I want you to start focusing on those.
Await your command.
Engage on that.
Forward.
Archers, focus on that.
I await your command. Forward. Forward. Forward.
Alright, and there's a win. And we've gotten some spoils of war. Excellent. Not much, but every little bit helps. Alright. Now that we've won that, we can garrison in this building, and if you end your turn in a building and then end your turn a second time, you can then start healing, which is what we're going to have to do. Sadly, we didn't gain up enough experience for any of them to be useful. But we did, however, gain 7 crystals, and that may make all the difference. You may say, well, how can 7 crystals make a difference? Well, I'll explain a little bit. Just gonna... Now, there's not much healing the first time you end your turn, but if you end your turn in a building and you haven't moved at all in that turn, the amount of healing you get is much more. And if you play as life, the amount of healing you get is just ridiculous. If you play as death, however, the amount of regeneration is basically non-existent, because death units don't regenerate. Alright, so buy potion. Now, we're going to get a potion to restore 5 mana. Now, we're only going to restore 5 mana because the leader has 7 mana points total. However, the spell that I'm casting, Ice Bolt, or whatever it is, only takes 2 mana to cast, so with her 7 mana, she's left with 1 unused mana. So by buying only 5 mana, we are basically going to allow her to cast her spell 3 more times. So we'll buy that. Then we got to equip it. So like I say, you got to equip the potion before you can use it, because what you have up here in your inventory, you can't use that. Only what you have in your hands are usable, which means that if you have 2 artifacts and want to still use a potion, well, you can't. Sucks to be you. Alright, so now let's try that one fight again. Now, it's also important to note that another advantage of the Water Faith is only they have mage towers that can produce healing potions. You'd think that the Worshippers of Life would be able to produce the healing potions, but no. However, even if you're not playing as water, if you conquer a water village or any village around a water capital, you have the potential to convert it to build a water mage tower there, but if I ever capture a village, we'll explain how that works. Alright, so we're going to deploy in the middle here this time because I don't want to be flanked. Now, we're going to hopefully you know what, focus on Bring him down. Bring him down.
Arrows fly. I await your command. Forward.
We shall.
Oh, I still think I'm going to lose this.
On my way.
Yep, it's G to the G.
Forward. Forward.
Yeah. Okay.
My spells are ready.
Okay, I can figure this out. Okay. This looks like an easier fight, but I'm against elven archers and centaurs.
I await on my way.
Alright, good. They are waiting, which means I can deploy.
Taking aim.
Much haste.
Man, I'm feeling like a noob in a game I've played
We
ad nauseum.
shall obey.
But again, though, it's not frustrating because it still feels fair. Because again, it's level 1 archers going up against what is essentially 6 level
Archers
3 units, and zombies are slow and tough, and skeletons in many games are naturally resistant to arrows. So,
We
yeah.
shall
Now I'm gonna. I don't think I need to use the mana potion in this match, so I am going to focus the archers.
I await your command. I await your command. Forward.
Alright, melee units got that. Archers focus their archers. Wait, no. Focus the one that's hurt.
On my way. Forward. Arrows fly. I await your command. On my way.
There we go. Victory. And 9 more crystals. Excellent. Which is great. Absolutely great. So we will save that. Now, I'm hoping here that I can take this crystal mine. Oh wait, I just remembered something.
my spell.
All the units you start with get free upkeep. So I wouldn't have needed to purchase all that extra gold. I could have put it all into crystals to get... Oh, shoot. Yeah. Oops. Ay, 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 ay. Again, feeling like a noob in a game I've played for a long time. Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing I do want to point out, he's only missing 3 health, but I don't think that's going to make much of a difference because time's of the essence. When you have these, with these basic units here, the regular infantry, archers, and that stuff, you'll see there's 3 things under here. That means each one of these represents 3 people, and unless all 3 of them die in combat, with the regular healing process, the ones that did die will come back to life. However, if you lose all 3 units in the group, then that unit is permanently lost. So permadeath is a thing here. So let's save again. I'm going to try something here.
Many have been immersed all their life.
Buy a potion.
Water, but few have the
I only got 11
offer to use.
mana. But since I can't use 2 mana potions at once, I could at least give my warrior a healing potion. Alright, and if we could capture a crystal mine, that would go a long way in helping us out, because that would generate crystals. which we could then use to
I await your command.
speed up our healing process. And shoot, they got sprites. Okay, archers.
Arrows fly.
Focus there, archers.
I await your
You,
command.
rally the troops.
My spells are ready.
Oh, shoot. Maneuver, maneuver, maneuver. Oh, wait, no.
I await your command. Forward. Forward.
With much
Oh, wait, the leader's being targeted.
I await your command. I await your command. I await your command. Forward. Forward. Archers
You target that, you
arrows
target that.
fly.
Oh, shoot.
Archers
Oh, I screwed that one up.
my spells are ready.
Crap!
archers
I was a second too late in healing the leader.
What we shall obey.
Or, yeah, they... Crap! Okay. We know my mistake.
await your command.
That's
On my
okay.
way.
My spells are ready.
I'm gonna try something different.
With much haste. What shall we do?
On my way. On my way. Forward. Forward. Forward.
What shall we do?
Aw, I do not want to lose the lizard man either.
What
You get out of here, because if you die, I lose the whole group.
shall obey?
And I just lost... Crap.
Archers ready.
What no one can stop us.
Oh, wait, no.
What shall we do? We shall obey.
Archers ready. Taking aim.
My spell with much haste.
Taking aim.
We shall obey.
On my way. On my way.
My spells are ready.
Okay, I think still targeting the sprites is the best idea.
I await your on my way. I await your command. Forward. Archers ready. Arrows fly.
My spells are ready. What shall we do? My spells are ready. With
No.
We shall obey.
Archers ready. I await your command.
Crap, I lost the lizard men.
I await your command.
Ah. Well, I don't know if I want to accept that loss now that I've lost my frontline infantry or not. Screw it. I need that crystal mine. Maybe I'll just have to hire some mercenaries. Because when it comes to training troops, you can either train them or hire mercenaries. And basically the difference is that mercenaries have a very, very low initial cost, but a very, very high upkeep cost. Whereas training troops has a very high initial cost, but a very low upkeep cost. However, training troops requires followers, but in order to have followers, you kind of need to have control of your Great Temple, which I don't currently have. So, yeah.
Many have been immersed all their life by the power of water, but few have the training we offer to use that power.
Alright, so... I'm going to try something drastic here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to train a couple mercenaries, depending on how much they cost. Or hire mercenaries, rather. They're going to be expensive upkeep, but the idea is to use them as cannon fodder, so...
True calling for all women.
Okay, it's going to be an initial cost of... So I'm losing resources, but that's okay because they're cannon fodder. The downside is this will divide up the experience I get among a larger group because, well, experience in this game isn't based on each unit's individual actions, but rather based on what all you've killed as a group. But with any luck, they'll die. Well, they're naturally going to die, and then... Oh shoot, I realized too late that they're actually waiting for me now. Could have gotten into a lot better position. Oh well. Too late now.
I await your on my way. Archers ready. Arrows fly.
Try the aim missile.
Await your on my way. Forward.
Now basically by using the aim missile tactic, you increase the time it takes to fire, but your damage is significantly higher. Excellent, excellent. Well, you're injured, so there's no point in keeping you around.
My spells are ready.
You know what, wait a minute. So it would cost me 4 gold to
To learn the ways of women, true calling for all women.
keep them, but only 2 gold to hire them, meaning
My spells are ready.
I'm going to temporarily dismiss you and wait till they heal. And then I'll hire you for more mercenaries for the next battle. Now I'm starting to think like I've played this game before.
My spell.
Let's go pick up another mana potion.
Many have been immersed all their life by the power of water, but few have the training we offer to use that. My spell. To learn the ways of war is the true calling of all women.
Whoa, whoa, the heavy cavalry have too high of an initial cost. Now I think this is the way I needed to go. Whoa, 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 nope, nope, nope. Level 3, too much. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm not going to waste resources. Call it cheap, but I don't care. Alright, they're charging me, so...
My spell with much haste.
Archers taking aim. I await
Archers,
your
get up
command.
here.
On my way.
Actually, you guys pull back too. We can get a couple more shots in them before you start attacking.
My way.
My spells are ready.
Archers ready. Arrows
Aim
fly.
missile. Oh, you can't even hit the target.
I await your command.
What shall we do?
Forward. Forward. Forward.
That's what I'm talking about, mercenaries. Good job. Now you've done your job. Go away.
My spell.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. One nice thing about the life units, though, or the life warrior in particular, they level up very fast, but that's because they require significantly less experience points than their counterparts in other faiths. The downside is when you get them to level 10, you know, and you have them go to train units from other faiths, you can't really get them up that high. And what I mean by that is, and I'll explain this while I'm healing,
To learn the ways
when you go in here you can see that experience conferred to recruits and then the next turn. Basically, well,
My spells are ready. To learn
basically once you liberate your great temple and you have a stronghold, you can actually stay in these buildings at the end of a turn. And if you have a champion in their appropriate building, some of the experience that they'll... Oh, someone's been beaten. Summon the... Pathetic minions of light have been beaten back. The barbarians are without a lord. Death conquers all, as it should be. Yeah, like I say, I played this game a lot. The struggle for Uruk has ended for the Lord Brain Crusher. The peoples of Chaos brace themselves for troubled times, and they call for vengeance against the Lord. Okay. So, Chaos has been defeated, because, like I said, Chaos sucks. But anyways, are you healed yet? Nope. So we can go another round.
to learn the ways of
So, for
war.
example, once my warrior gains up a good of experience, once I control the temple, he can stay here, and then a certain percentage of his experience will be imparted per turn to new recruits. And what this means is, over time, once you get into the late game, when you lose units, you can recruit units at max level, and this applies to heroes. So if you have a hero that reaches level 10, and you have them train up enough troops to, or train up other champions to where they can start out at level 10, if you lose that hero, it's not going to be that big of a devastating loss to you. And this is a brilliant system because it makes the weak starting units very viable in game, because once these get up to max level, once you can recruit some at max level, they're very competitive in game. And it's a brilliant system that I really love, because if you neglect to train your troops, then you're going to be screwed come in game. So it really requires quite a balance between properly managing your aggressiveness, but at the same time making sure to have your troops come back home and train new troops. So in a lot of other strategy games, you tend to have your main character or your army going out and conquering, and you just recruit new troops from fresh back, where you come from to defend your area. But here you've got to balance out your attack with staying at home and training new troops. It's a wonderful system, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Experienced veterans, training new recruits as to how to fight. Alright, so now we start to get marauding parties, and these are a very good thing. Because basically, as you can see, there's gray flags over a lot of these buildings. If you haven't cleared them out yet, they have enemies in them, and they will spawn marauding parties from time to time. Now, these are generally very weak parties that will attack you regardless, and if you're in a situation like I am in, where you don't necessarily have the forces to take on the defenders, you can then take on the marauding parties. And I'm not even going to cast spells. These are chaos or fire worshippers. They suck so bad. Like, seriously, why do you not wear armor in battle? And this is why I do not play as fire and chaos. Like, armor people. It's this new thing. Use it. Now, another thing that's important to note is that there are different types of terrain here, and they have major effects on your movement. So, for example, this is prairie and grass terrain, so order, life, and water troops will be just fine over it. But fire, chaos, and death troops, they're not going to be able to move very fast. As you can see, they're slowed way down here when they try to cross it, but they're going to pick up speed in the brown part, but then slow right back down once they get to the grass, which makes them easy pickings for my long-range archers.
Forward. I await your command. On my way. Forward.
You know what?
My spells are ready.
Archers ready. Arrows fly. Archers ready. Arrows fly.
Not only that, but when they're on a terrain that they're not ideal with, their attack speed in general is slowed way down. So that battle might have had a different outcome if they had been fighting on their terrain. So that's another thing you really want to take into account when playing. And I love games that have or take terrain into account. But we probably should replenish our healing potions. Now, not only that, but our leader's leveled up, which means we can get a potion for 8 mana now and cast the spell a total of 8 times in combat. Oh, what do we have here? And this is what you call a bad thief. You may have discovered one spy, but it will not be easy for you to suppress the guild of Belkoth, Lord of Death. Fight me if you must. Relations between our two people are already strained, and our lord will surely punish you. Yeah. Alright. So now this battle is going to be tricky because he's beat, there's nothing he can do, and he's going to try to run. At least I think he is. So, he's going to stealth up right away. So, before we start the battle, now, he's going to try to retreat there, so we're going to try to move our troops here. Now, him being death, he's going to be incredibly slow in doing that. So, once we spot him, so the plan is we're going to have the archers here to block his path, and this dude, just see if you can light him up. There he is. Alright, archers go. You keep moving in case he threw at you. Alright, go in. See, even though he's level 5, he's having huge penalties because he's not on terrain that's native to him. So, he got screwed. Alright, excellent. That's going to make the Lord of Death angry, but the Lord of Death is always going to be angry anyway, so it doesn't matter. Alright. So we're slowly but surely making progress, but not as much progress as we like. It's already turned 20, and my temple is not under my control. This is not good. Would have been so much better if I'd have had my lizard warriors survive. But the thing is, I needed those crystals, so... Alright, so buy a potion, only to restore 8. And you know what? You're not going to get up another level yet before you need it, so... Alright, so... There, we're restocked on... Oh wait, she probably will get up another level before he needs it. Crap. Alright. So, where should my next target be? What level are you? Alright, let's just see how this fort is. Okay, goblin archers, they're only level 1 though. Skeletons. Orcs. Level 2. Alright, so first question, are they going to advance? Yes, they are. So, archers hold your position, you get back. These are level 1 orcs, so they're level 2. Actually, kill the archers. Alright, you focus the archers. You see if you can hold the aggro of all the skeletons. You start running. You are doomed. Okay, we're going to have to batch this battle very carefully. Hey, change your direction, change your direction. Use your healing potion. Focus the archer. Make sure you're focusing him. Use your healing potion, you idiot. Make sure you're changing your direction. Take an aim shot at the skeleton. And that's how you do it, baby. Alright, now this screen's come up in battle because this is a 2-level dungeon, and once you complete the first part, you need to move in to down there to continue. However, we're hurt. We've used our potion, so we want to restock before we go. So we'll just go back and grab him another potion, let him heal a little bit, restock her potion, and we should be good to go. Alright. You know what, maybe we might go out and try to find another fight to get him to level 5 before we go back in there for level 2. Wonder if these breweries are low enough level that we can handle them.
Many have been immersed all their life by the power of water, but few have the training we offer to use that power.
Alright, don't have enough mana to buy both. Alright. Okay. Let's just go see what level this is. Level 2. Might be doable. May need to wait for health, but we'll see. Okay, this doesn't look bad at all.
Archers ready. Taking aim. I await your on my way.
My spells are ready. My spells are with much haste.
I await your command.
My spell with much haste.
Archers ready.
My spell with much haste.
Archers ready. Arrows fly. I await your command. On my way.
My spells are
Not good. Oh, I'm screwing up majorly.
I await your forward.
my spell with much haste. With much haste. With much haste. With much haste. With much haste.
I await your command. Forward. Arrows
They're
fly.
targeting my leader, so...
My spell with much haste. With much haste. With much haste.
That almost ended badly. Alright, now we definitely need to rest for healing. But archers are another level, and as are these knights, or the elven warrior. So, excellent. I need to take the temple, ideally before turn 28, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So already that'll be 4 in-game weeks that I don't control my temple, and that is not good. Because you have the Lord of Air not only having his temple, but now they control the Chaos Great Temple. Yeah. The only consolation is air and water start off on good terms. Hey, more marauders. Excellent. Free experience.
I await your command. On my way. I await your on my way.
My spells are ready.
crap, this is their terrain type. Well, that's a setback and a half. Well, maybe it doesn't have to be.
The Sisterhood protects the sacred ebb and flow of water's power.
Yeah, you can trade resources and get healing and stuff at the temple. The thing is, it takes crystals, so that's why I generally don't do it. But now that I'm getting in kind of a good shape with crystals, yeah. Can kind of afford to.
On my way. On my way. On my
Alright, let's see what the second level of this place holds. And by the way, you kind of got to use your imagination and pretend that there's walls and stuff here.
On my way.
Because that's what all that green and all that other stuff is supposed to represent. Do-do-do-do-do.
On my way.
Alright, and down we go.
My spells are ready.
Oh, and you would... Oh, crap. You would put the mage right at... and the archers right at front and the warrior in behind, wouldn't you?
On my way. Forward.
Yeah, this is... gonna end
My
badly.
spells are with much haste.
Archers ready. Taking.
My spells are ready.
Archers ready.
My spell with much haste.
I wonder if this would work. That is the cheapest tactic in the book, but all's fair in love and war, baby. Autocalc. Sometimes it works in your favor when you clearly would have lost. Yeah. Hey, I just wonder... What's up, bro? So... Wait, you don't have any resources. Well, that's too bad. Alright. I was hoping you had some crystals to trade me, but guess not. So now I gotta heal up and... But yeah, you can interact with other faiths. They have different opinions of each other, which kind of makes sense. I mean, life and water get along well. Life and air get... water and air get along well. Water and fire, however, do not get along very well. You will find that the people of fire absolutely hate you if you play as water. And, well, pretty much in general, your opposite element is going to hate you. Which led to kind of a funny... I don't know if you want to call it bug in the original game. I don't know if it can still be done now. Actually, maybe I should not mention that. Well, actually, no, it probably can't be done now since the map editor doesn't work. So I guess it doesn't matter if I say this. But in the original game, when you started out, Earth and Death were on friendly enough terms to at least trade. So you could do a map where you started out with the Earth army right next to the Death army, and then you could play as Earth and start the game, immediately be right next to the Death army in Belkoth, and trade him all your starting resources, which would be enough for him to give you some of his units, and then with his units on his side, you could then attack him, and being as he'd only be level 1, or relatively low level at that point, and he hadn't researched all his powerful spells, Belkoth was relatively vulnerable, which meant you could kill Belkoth and therefore play as him, because when you get the game, you're not allowed to play as Lord Belkoth until you've beaten him. So that was a dirty little trick to be able to beat him rather quickly. But I don't think it works now. Of course, to be fair, I had every right to use that because I had legitimately beaten Belkoth before I even did that. So technically it's not cheating,
Arrows fly.
because I've won this game multiple times and I still love it to this day. Because it's one of those games that,
I await.
you know, there's still some new things to do, like new strategy. So for example, this is the first time I'm playing a life and water combo to start out.
On my way.
And as you can see by my losses, it's still able to challenge me. Wonder what level this is. Oh, we are jumping on the nope train to screw thatville. Well, I'm getting to the point now where I... Oh, who's beaten now?
The Lord of Air is dead.
Oh, now air's beaten.
Cannot hope to stand before us now.
Wow. So fire has beaten air. Wonderful. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around, though? Oh, well. Wait a minute. I guess we'll get a potion later. Well, nope, right here, so might as well get it now.
Many have been immersed all their life by the power of water, but few have the training we offer to use that power.
So, 33 turns and already 2 players have been beaten. Oh boy. This is the downside, one of the things about playing on hard, because every time you play there's always going to be some faiths that start out really strong and other faiths that start out really weak. So if you're looking for a game where everybody starts out on equal terms, this is not it. Wonder if these guys are strong enough to handle level 3. One way to find out. Okay. This is very doable, if I don't screw it up.
With much haste.
Archers taking aim. I await your. On my way. Arrows fly. Archers ready.
And I have a feeling they're going to try to shoot my leader. Called it.
Arrows fly.
My spells are ready.
Scroll of Fireball. Well, that's going to be odd. Water Mage casting fire spells, but screw it. This is a spell scroll, as you can might imagine. Now, if you happen to be the correct faith to use it, like so if you're a fire mage and you find a scroll and you go to equip it, it'll automatically have the spell researched for you, but you need to be a fire mage, though. Now, it is important to note, though, that even if you're not one faith, you can still learn the spells of other faiths, but you got to research them, just like you research your own spells. So, if you conquer, like, the lands of, or if I conquered the lands of fire, for example, and I would then have to hire fire mages and then have them spending time researching, or spend time researching their own fire spells before I could cast any of their spells. Which is an interesting thing, and it makes sense. Wonder if just for the sake of time. Okay, yep, I can afford to heal him. No. This battle should put us up a level, and then I think I'm going to be ready for conquering the temple. Now, my goal here is to do a complete playthrough, but I'm probably going to end this video with the conquest of the temple. And I'm already several weeks in, which isn't good.
I await your command. On my way. Archers taking aim.
My spell with much haste.
Oh, guess we can try Fireball.
I await your command.
My spells are ready.
I await your
Wait,
on
if
my
it casts and does damage to anything in its path.
I await on my way. Archers ready. Arrows.
My spells are ready.
I await your command. Forward.
My spells are ready.
Archers ready.
My spells are ready.
Oh, they got a Dryad.
With much haste.
Okay, priority target, priority target, priority target, priority.
Arrows fly.
My spell with much haste.
Archers ready.
Oh, that almost ended terrible.
Fly.
I did not realize they had a Dryad. Crap. What weapon do we got here? Oh, sweet. Nice. Any mage can wear this ring and receive 2 armor, 3 mana, 33% resistance to elemental magic. Water mages resist elemental magic at 50%. Well, you are getting equipped. And I don't have enough crystals for any potions. Well, bummer. But that's okay. While we're waiting to heal, we can save up the money for crystals. So the plan is, now that we have him level 6 and my mage level 5, we're going to go in and get some crystals, get him another healing potion, get her a mana potion. Now you can only restore 12 points of either heal HP or mana with a single potion, which means we're going to go into this with 15 plus 12, so 27 points. That's 26, so we should be able to cast the spell 13 times. I think that sounds... That's about right now. Yeah, I think that sounds right. It's also important to note that as mages level up, there's a lot of spells that deal damage based on the caster's level. Yeah.
Many have been immersed all their life by the power
Well,
of
let's just
water,
start out with
but few
buying
have
him a
the
healing
training we
potion.
offer to use them.
Wait a minute. We could probably trade ale for crystal, so we don't have to wait to do this. Then again, we could just use up a bunch of our ale to hire a lot of mercenaries. You know, I think I'm going to try that.
To learn the ways of war is the true calling for all women.
It's a privilege to share our craft with another. But first, an oath.
Oh, we need crystals to create them. Boo. Alright. Well, that's going to be an expensive mercenary army. But hopefully we can pull through and conquer the Great Temple. Before you lies the great temple of water, sacred shrine of the Amazons. His power has been stifled by the insolence of those who would corrupt its honored purpose. Return this hallowed edifice to its former purity, and the Amazons will praise you for 1,000 lifetimes. Alright, so here we go in the great temple battle. And we've got a necromancer, so you have just earned yourself a priority 1 icing, baby. Alright, so
Archers ready. Taking aim.
archers deploy here, you here, rally troops,
What we shall. What is
mercenaries up, slingers there.
we shall obey?
Oh, you piece of crap. What did you... Okay, Visage of Horror. Not the worst thing he's ever done. Wait, that was probably a waste. Okay, it looks like the bulk of their forces are coming up there.
We shall. What shall we?
You hold them off here.
I await your on my way.
Oh, and he had to use that son of a piece of crap.
Archers ready. Arrows fly.
See, I hate that now. Stupid Golgotha. That's the skulls I was talking about.
What is
That piece of jerk.
I await your command.
Okay, you know what? You can take them. We need you over here.
what?
You guys attack that.
What is thy bidding?
Archers ready.
Archers, focus on that.
What is thy fling of
I await your on my way. On my way. Forward.
Oh my goodness, what the?
what
Get up in the battle. You can't believe I forgot them. Crap.
Archers,
What is that?
I await your command.
What shall no one can stop?
Archers ready. Arrows fly.
What shall we do? We shall obey.
Okay, you've got an arrow en route.
Arrows fly.
No one can stop. What shall we do? No one can stop us.
On my way.
What is thine?
Arrows fly.
No one can stop us.
On my way. On my way. On my way.
Get out of the battle, you...
On my way. On my way. On my way. On my way.
Retreat, you jerk.
Archers ready. Taking
Okay, that was crazy enough to work.
your command. Archers
Now,
taking aim.
son of a...
Arrows fly.
Well, I think that it's not as bad as it looks because you can... The thing is about this spell, it'll spread to others, units in your party, even after you get outside of battle. But I think you get 100 crystals for liberating the temple, which should easily be enough to cure it. Yes. Yep, I was right. So we get 10 followers, the Ice Sword, and 2 long impressed captives. Magnificent. You have liberated the Great Temple. In your honor, your people have constructed a stronghold at their capital, Oshin. While this great temple remains free, it will attract followers to the stronghold to serve you. You can then assign them to work producing valuable resources. You can also install champions in the Mage Tower, Barracks, and Thieves Guild, where they will impart their experience to new recruit. Mages can now research new spells in the library, and if you upgrade the Mage Tower to level 3, you can summon the serpent at this temple. Okay, now,
My spells are ready.
thank you for your service, mercenaries, but don't need you anymore. And I'm not going to have these guys join up with me yet until this is cured. Okay, but here's the temple. Now, each faith has their own great temple, and when the Mage Tower is upgraded to level 3, you can summon the main legendary creature of that faith. Now, obviously being water worshippers, I get the serpent, which can only be used on water, and another one of water's unique units that you may have seen here, the Kraken, is also water only. So, as you might imagine,
Use that power.
the water worshippers are absolutely deadly on the ocean, but their most powerful units aren't really effective on the land. For some reason they get a spider, which doesn't make sense, but I guess they needed some kind of land unit though. But with their main top tier unit, the Serpent, it's only available on water. So whereas every other faction's main unit can be viable on the land. So that's something you need to take into consideration when playing as water. On the plus side, though, you can come up with a pretty much impenetrable fleet. And the ships of water, the Corsair, has an insane movement speed. I mean, it could literally go around the planet, I think, in like 3 or 4 turns. It is that fast. And furthermore, later on, water mages can essentially talk to the water, and the water can talk back to them, which, in terms of gameplay mechanics, means no fog of war on the water. So, yeah, when you consider that this ship can move, I think within, like I said, it takes about 3 or 4 turns for this thing to go completely around the planet and back again. But basically within 2 turns, it can be pretty much anywhere in any body of water, 2 or 3 turns within any area of water on the map. And with the waves and water talking to the water mages and telling them exactly where you are, chances are, yeah. And it kind of sums it up best here in the description. No other faith vessels can rival the ships of water people in their skill Water people. Their skill and speed in their native element cannot be challenged. Any creature that incurs the wrath of water worshippers had best travel by foot or on wings. And believe me, this is true. There have been many times where there are armies that I don't think I could have beaten on land, but they stepped foot into the sea, or they set sail in the sea, and I made them pay dearly. You just cannot really compete against a water fleet. Sea serpents, krakens, they will wreck you. Yeah, but anyways, with the Great Temple, now all faiths can recruit a legendary creature. However, with this one, it's a lot weaker. I think this might actually be the weakest legendary creature of all, but you can recruit more than one. Whereas some of the other stuff, you can only recruit once. I think, for example, the Order Faith can recruit Sir Lancelot, but you can only have one of him, but he's extremely powerful. And, of course, the Air gets a Thunder... I think the Air get a Thunder Drake, or... They get two dragons, basically, like a Storm Drake and an Ice Drake, I think. I think the Storm Drake is their main top-tier creature. Or no, the Ice Drake, I think, is their top-tier creature, and the Storm Drake is their legendary creature. Now, speaking of legendary creatures, as you may remember from the start, there are several people that started with legendary creatures in their temple. And one thing that you want to keep in mind when it comes to this and the legendary creatures is if you kill the lord of a faction that has a legendary creature, all the units that they had are going to swarm out after you in a quest for revenge, and this includes the legendary creature, and in many cases the legendary creature is significantly harder to beat than the leaders themselves. So do keep that in mind when you start the game. If you're going to try to go around with a conquest attitude, take note of the players that start out with a legendary creature in their temple, because if you kill their lord, they will have that legendary creature come after you. Now, that being said, if you happen to be fighting against the Earth faction and they have a legendary creature, as you might imagine, being worshippers of Earth, they have absolutely no flying units, and their legendary creature is basically a giant worm or something like that, and it's a melee. So their legendary creature can be beaten by a single fairy if you get yourself a good vantage point. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright. But now that we've conquered the temple, we gain followers. Now if you click here, followers arrive in 5 turns. Basically every week you get a new set of followers, and how many followers you get is based on how well you're doing. Now you can take these followers and do several things with them. First, you can assign them to work at the capital to produce resources. So for example, we don't have any gold mines yet, so we're going to put a few followers to work and produce some gold. And I want some more crystals. So yeah, we're going to do that. Now, with that being said, you can also use followers to upgrade your buildings. So if you went to upgrade this here, you need 65 ale, 55 gold, and 1 follower. Now do note the follower is consumed to do it. Now I can't upgrade because you can't have your Barracks, Thieves Guild, or Mage Guild a higher level than your capital city. So we'd first need to upgrade the capital city to level 2, but that's going to require a lot of resources, which we do not have at this point. Now let's just take an overview here of the resource that we have. You have crystals. This is used for, as you saw, or all of these resources pretty much except fame are used to purchase and use a variety of units. Crystals are more focused on magic units. Gold, I think Thieves Guild units have a higher cost in gold, so yeah, they require an upkeep of gold. They require a lot of gold and crystals to recruit. Whereas Barracks troops, they don't require much gold, but they just basically want ale or beer. And you don't need to give them gold. As long as you give them beer, they're fine. And then, of course, magic troops, well, they require mana to upkeep, or the priestess anyway, or crystals. And if you summon creatures, then they require a lot of crystals to summon, and then a lot of crystals to maintain. So That's basically the general rule of thumb. Gold maintains your thief and ranged units, ale maintains your melee units, and crystals maintain your magic units and allow you to heal and dispel magic. Now, as for fame, this is just a resource you gain as you play and as you do great deeds, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think the more fame you have also affects how many followers you get per turn. However, you can go to the magistrate and beg them for money, but that costs fame. So if you're really famous, so for example, I'm famous enough that I could beg the magistrate for 98 gold and get it, but I don't want to cash in my fame just yet. Then of course, if you click the strong hold, you can get an overview of your relations towards other people, the spells you've researched, your artifacts, and if you have an accomplished spy network and you've been spying a lot on the enemies, you can get intel on them as well. But I don't really care much for the spying aspect. You basically have to have a high-level thief, and it has to sneak up to an enemy, basically stealth, and be undetected and try to learn information from them that way. Alternatively, if you have a thief of your own, you can capture and interrogate enemy thieves or enemy heroes and champions and get information from them that way. Do note, however, attempting to interrogate, and torture the units of death is not the smartest plan. Because, well, death worshippers are pretty huge fans of torture themselves.
Ready to go.
Oh wait, there's marauders there.
My spells are ready. Ready to go. To learn the ways of war is
Okay, but as you can see, you can kind of see here what I'm talking about. So like each turn, this champion's going to impart 2 experience to new recruits for a max at 25, but that's just because she's only level 2 and doesn't have much experience. But as you upgrade the barracks, a greater percentage of their experience can be imparted. But we'll just kill these marauders. I can probably get away easily with an auto-calc at this point. Yep. Easy peasy. Alright.
ready to go.
Actually, I'm going to put you here. Now, I want to have an early warning system, so it's time to start scouting. So let's just start with our seagull. Let's recruit 2 seagulls. You garrison in here so that I can have a line of sight. And you
Ready to go.
you garrison in the temple. And you garrison in the crystal mine so that I can see if there's anybody coming to try to take the crystal mine. Alright. Now I guess I could be using them for scouting. The thing is, I've played this game so much, I know exactly, and I know this map so well, I know exactly where everything is. So for example, on this village, on this map, bit of island up here, there should be a castle to the Lich King. Here should be a village to the Death. Over here we would have another village for the Order. Down here we have a village for Life. Down further south is Life. To the east is Order. To the north is Death. Yeah. But let's see here.
My spells are ready.
Alright. But now what I'm going to do is I want to do a little bit of research. So while I'm researching spells, he can go here.
Calling for all women.
So as you can see here, it can get this, my warrior, my life warrior, will give 27 experience per turn to a max of 273. And if you click this, the green will indicate how much experience that'll be each turn. And then the blue represents how much experience they can get total, which means if I leave him here long enough, he's going to get them to where every time I get a new lizard man, either training them or hiring them, they're going to start out at level 2. Which, again, like I say, is an incredibly nice feature, and it's very useful in-game because you don't really have to worry about constantly leaving a huge garrison to defend your army or your capital like you would in other games. You can just have a couple scouts around your main base or your capital while your army's out exploring, and if you see enemies coming in as they get too close, you can just hire a bunch of mercenary troops all at max level, go in and swarm them and attack them, and if you have enough resources, just keep swarming them until they die. It is a very common tactic and one that the bots will employ as well, so it's not uncommon to try to sneak in and take an enemy city and all of a sudden they deploy a full army from a barracks of 3 warrior champions and 9 of their infantry or cavalry. And keep in mind, the base cavalry units, they come in a group of 3, so that's basically 27 units, regular units, and 3 champions, so they can instantly summon an army of max level, 30 max level units, which can be pretty devastating, but when you consider that that tactic has saved me many times, I'm not going to complain about it. But that's the main thing you got to keep in mind. Do not neglect training your troops. You know, as much as I'd love to be out conquering, I need to do some training because, you know, you could make the point that if I would be out conquering, I could earn a bunch of experience, and then when I get back and started training them, I could train them faster. And while true, the fact of the matter is, you don't want to neglect it entirely, because if you do that, then if something happens and they die, or something like that, then you've lost your hero, and then that's it. Now, alternatively, you could always just save the game, but then again, you're still running the risk of if you get attacked while your main army is out and about. So, by training them up to where they at least start at level 2, yeah, not only that, but I'd like to expand my army, and as I get my followers, so as a matter of fact, let's just put all the remaining followers we can in there, and more crystals. Now, I can only put 8 in each building since it's a level 1 city, but as you upgrade the city, you can put more into it, so the followers are generating us more resources, and by the time I have enough resources and followers to recruit bigger armies, I could maybe start out with a level 2 unit, which wouldn't be as bad as the level 1s. Also, thing is though, having your champions train troops is also a good thing to do while you're having your leader or your mages learn new spells. Now, alternatively, if you're playing or starting out as a mage, you can have your mage leader go in and start researching spells, or have them go in and start training new mages to research spells while you're out and about adventuring. And the thing is, I think I might just need to go do that road. Well, I'll research Light Rain first. Now, one thing I will point out, basically when it comes to research of spells, you have your attack spells, your defense spells, your general spells, and your overland spells. I think this is the overland spells, and then this is, wait, which is which? General spells, okay. Yeah, this is overland spells. Each one has a different things, and this is the one I was talking about, Whisper of the Waves. Now, when you look at the book, there's a lot of lore here, and I've actually taken the time to read all of this because, well, I really love this game. I mean, that was one of the fun things I remember as a kid, just looking through all these books, reading every single one of them. Of course, there's not much to it, but pretty interesting stuff. Anyways, but it starts out with a general paragraph kind of giving an idea of what the spell is, and then this stuff right here is originally untranslated. Now, when you look at the spell here, as they research it, more of this is going to be translated into English, and all of this, when translated, basically tells you from a gameplay perspective what the spell does. So this up here is basically just a general idea of what it is, or it mentions a proverb or a quote from something, or sometimes they'll reference famous battles, but something in relation to the spells. Now, when you take a look at the research team, you can have up to 3 mages researching, but I only have 1 chair right now, and as you upgrade to a mage tower level 2, you get 2 chairs, and so on like that. But when you take a look here at the research theme, when you take a look, it says Light Rain will take 14 man days. And when you take a look at this, progress on the spell is continuing at a rate of 5 man days of research each day. There appears to be 14 man days of research yet to be achieved, meaning we should have obtained full knowledge of light spell in 3 days. Now, what exactly are man days? Well, man days are the basic unit of time that it's going to take. However, each level of your champion or your mage equates to 1 man day of research. So if you had a single level 2 mage researching, then she would be doing 2 man days of research a day. But as you can see, my mage is currently level 5, so as such she's doing 5 man days of research each day. So if you happen to have 3 level 10 mages, which is the max level for a standard champion, whereas a lord can get up to level 12, then 3 regular mages at level 10, that's 30 man days of research a day. And if you had 2 regular mages at level 10 and then a lord at level 12, well then that's 32 man days of research each day. So that's basically what that means. So you could just have a bunch of level 1 rookies in here researching spells, but it does pay to train them up. Alright, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to research Light Rain and see if there's any other good ones. Nah. Yeah, we'll research Light Rain, get that spell, because that's a devastating spell against fire mages. Or not, well, yeah, it does work against fire mages, but just in general. Basically, Light Rain, on most units it just slows them down, but against fire, it can do devastating damage. And at max level, no joke, you can kill a dragon in like 2 castings of that spell, which is ridiculous, and you have enough mana to basically take out 3. That's why I said the water mage could literally take out 3 dragons, but I don't think you have enough mana to take out 4. But as you can see here, now that some research is done, part of this is being translated into English. But I think that's enough for this video. I'm going to end this one here and continue my playthrough at a later date. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.